That's what we're looking at heading back towards. But my guess is if you were to try to write a curriculum that covers, slavery in the U.S. or the, Holocaust or whatever, and not, give the narrative that this.
Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel at Fisa Makeover. Today I'm joined with
Paige.
We're going to be checking out Charlie King runs Leftist race baiting professor. Please forgive me if I didn't say it well. So without further ado, let's get started.
Like, how is America racist?
All right. Are you familiar at all with the concept of structural racism?
Yeah, it's a myth.
No, it's not.
So tell me why it's true.
Okay, so
not outcomes. Tell me why it's true.
So the textbook that you hearken back to in the 1950s, right? I found one of those in Virginia. It was in publication from five. Yeah, and so when we think about like how do you design curriculum that's historically accurate that doesn't talk about oppression? That doesn't talk about one group being oppressed over the other, right? And so when you look at that Virginia textbook, I certainly don't argue that that's what we're looking at heading back towards. But my guess is if you were to try to write a curriculum that covers, slavery in the U.S. or the, Holocaust or whatever, and not, give the narrative that this group did this horrible thing to the other group, you're going to have to rely on some pretty...
But it wasn't groups, though. That's incorrect. Not every white person was a slave owner.
Well, that doesn't matter, though, because,
9 out of 13 states abolished slavery by the time of constitutional ratification.
I mean,
it's not like every white person was supportive. In fact, we had abolitionists at the time of the founding.
Exactly.
So why would you say one group?
Well, I mean, it's not. You don't have to have every white person.
No, in fact, the majority of white people found slavery to be reprehensible at the founding.
I don't know that if we would have pulled segregation.
No, we did actually
in the 50s. We would have found that.
Let's start with slavery. 9 out of 13 states abolished slavery by the time of constitutional ratification.
Yeah. Then why did the South secede?
Well, they seceded post-Cotton Gin for economic reasons. We went to war over it, though. To say that America...
No, you guys, the South declared war because they expected Lincoln to ban slavery.
And he ended up doing it.
Well, not for a long time. You know why? Because he wanted the fight to be about national unity, which is a good way to, I think, come wrapping around, right? National unity. So like, the first few years of the Civil War, he did not expressly say this war is about ending slavery.
He got to it.
And he later got to that
address,
because the South was more passionate and the North needed passion,
I know, but
right?
let's go. I mean, but you said something I want to focus on, though. One group doing something to the other. Like, that's just not true, right? It would be a small group of white people that exploited incorrectly a group of black people.
I think the crowds that would show up for the lynchings, according to research that I've read, numbered in like 5,000. And they would mail. They would
why
take
was slavery being abolished?
Pieces of like these people's bodies
I'm not supporting
that.
Right?
That's
a
but like that is not a small.
Argument.
That's not a small group of people. That's not an isolated event.
But, I mean, in certain states it was widespread.
A massive systemic problem, right?
9 states abolished it. Thomas Jefferson wrote in the original draft of the Declaration to King George, admonishing him for bringing slavery. The first ever anti-slavery convention was in Philadelphia, chaired by Benjamin Franklin in 1775. Yeah. Thomas Jefferson got rid of the importation of new slaves in 1807. Guess what? None of that stuff's taught in our schools right now.
I think when it comes to society, like they like looking for ways to make everyone clash. Instead of them to bring in stuff like this, I'm saying that because if you look at Christianity also, it also helps in removing the slavery stuff. But they don't like talking about those parts. They like talking about the fact that white people took black people, white people do this. And people forget that in those days, even in Africa, there were slavery. There were slaves there also. Yeah. Like, it was a form of business, not just for the white. It was a form of business to everybody. So when you make it look like it's just a white man thing, it's like you're trying to hide other parts of the world that does it to make it look like there's a beef between white and black people. I know there's slavery. I know there was slavery. I know there was racism. I know like a lot of things happened. But like, I'm not going to say like it's all in the past that I should forget it and stuff like that. It make me look as if I'm just trying to make it look like it never did. But like, don't make it look like is a big deal right now, and don't try to make it look like we're still going through something like that, or there should be consequences for it, because people that did are already dead, and who are going to suffer for it? Like, who are you going to punish for their crime? They're already dead. Like, I don't know if they even have a good life, because a lot of them died when they were even picking people from Africa. Like, the malaria and stuff killed a lot of people. And also, I think I'm going out of what I wanted to say, but I just feel when it comes to when we are talking about slavery and talking about racism in schools and stuff, don't make slavery out to be that whites were oppressing the blacks. It was a form of business. Everyone did it. I'm not saying because everyone did it, it was a good thing. That's why it was abolished. It was not a good thing. Just say it the way it is. Say it as plain as it is. Don't try to make it look like it was a race trying to destroy another race. That's not what happened. It was just a business deal. What do you think?
Actually, what you to say about this obsession of a thing between the white and the blacks? According to what you said, this slavery did only happen between the colonial masters and the rest of them. Even right in front of us in Africa here, people were buying and selling of people,
People are
turning them
still
to
doing it
servants,
now, though.
yes, turning people to servants, slavery, do as in you're working for somebody but you're not being paid, those kind of things, just turning you to slave and the rest of them. Those things I know that they are still happening to date, but in those type of undeveloped arena and the rest of them. But this thing that we're actually carrying it up, where it's like we're actually trying to blame the whites for those kind of things. To me, those blaming part should stop. We have futures ahead of us, so that at least another generation should not come and meet us that this was the same thing that clashed again. So we should actually have that mindset that that is a bygone, is a bygone. So we
Yes,
just
yes.
try and just free them, forgive them, as in
Move on.
move on. As in there are things, brighter things ahead of us to watch on top of things technology and science are about to create for us. But we actually trying to, because imagine you all your endeavor is about your past. How do you want to build a brighter future for yourself? So let's try and take those grudges against above our backs and move on, and don't carry anything ahead of you so heavy for you. Just let them go, let those heavy things aside so they can carry more brighter things in you that people will love to
Yeah.
see, and the rest of them.
So guys, let us know anything about our reaction. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and share our videos. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.